The next kind of cheese I want to talk about are washed rind cheeses. And these are really interesting. In fact, there's a lot of cheeses out there that have the rind washed with something as they're being aged. I have a great example of it here. This is a cheese that comes from Sartori that's been washed with a little bit of Merlot. And in fact, you can see the way that that skin has been stained with the wine. This is a really fun way to really imbibe some flavors into the cheese. You can get some nice tangy acidity that comes from the wine, and it really changes the flavor of the cheese as you go through the different layers. This is a cheese that's still somewhat soft, but it's starting to get a lot of sharper flavors, a lot more concentration, a lot more intensity, and at this point you can start going into richer reds. I think that Camille Brave is actually pretty awesome with that cheese. It's a really beautiful tangy wine that really highlights the nuttiness and the intensity of that. You could still go with white with a cheese like this. You could do a richer, heartier white, again like Chardonnay would work pretty well. So the next level of cheeses I want to talk about are semi-firm cheeses. And this is a great example of that. We have a nice cheddar here. At this point, you could start to go with darker, bigger reds. These cheeses have a lot of saltiness to them, which really are amplified by the nice tangy acidity that you find in wine. Really great combination. Cheese always tends to make wine taste better. This is a cheese that goes really great with things like Cabernet, Merlot. It's my favorite go-to right now with our Horse Heaven Hills blend. The next type of cheeses are hard cheeses, and cheeses get hard by aging. The longer that you age them, the more moisture is pulled out of the cheeses, and they start to form this really incredible crystalline texture. In fact, this Parmesan right here is a great example. This is the Parmesan that we use at Cooper's Hawk on our cheese plate. It's a 10-year-old aged Parmesan, and you get almost like a little bit of a crunchiness in the crystals that are formed in that cheese. It's incredibly meaty, really salty, really concentrated flavors. I love that with aged wines, particularly red wines. You know, older red wines take on this really complex flavors, lots of like stewed fruit, and you get lots of leather and spice and nuts. It's a great combination with a cheese like that. You can also go sweeter, like the Nightjar would go very well with that. But speaking of sweet wines, what I like better are sweet wines with blue cheese. And I have here a classic Roquefort. Roquefort is one of the great combinations with sweet wine and also honey. In fact, next time you're at Cooper's Hawk, try the Roquefort cheese with a little bit of that honeycomb on the bread together. They are amazing. The sweetness really plays off well against the saltiness and the pungent flavors that you find in the Roquefort cheese. So the other way to go with that is with a sweet wine. So I have a little bit of our ice wine here. It tastes just like honey. And that honey flavor that you get in that wine does the exact same thing that the honeycomb does. It's an awesome combination. I highly recommend it. Now you might be wondering what this other little bit of cheese is here. Well, you know what? This is just cheesecake. And in this day and age, this counts as cheese too. And I'm gonna have this with a little Prosecco. And that is pretty magical. So cheers to you, have a great week, and enjoy your cheese plate. Bye.